Good night, Sir Martin. Yes, good night. Welcome to your favorite online internet program, www.sxmtalk.com. Of course, I'm your host, Christopher Emmanuel, and I want to thank each and every one of you guys for being here tonight, logging on tonight. Call a friend, call someone, and tell them to log on now to www.sxmtalk.com because we're going to have a pretty interesting show for you tonight, like every night. And let me say welcome again to the program. I hope you guys are doing fine. Well, I don't know how many of you guys managed to catch or listen or viewed the Central Committee meeting today on the budget, you know, and stuff like that, what was going on, and the exchange between the ministers and the members of parliament, and what you guys thought about the whole discussion and stuff like that. Again, we saw a lot of grandstanding and posturing going on from the up party and the response coming from the other members of parliament. So again, you know, discussing the budget, the cuts that are in the budget and everything like that. But a friend of mine posted something on Facebook where he was drawing a comparison between the things that the colonialists, and in our case, which is the Dutch, does draw a reference from. And I make mention of it before also when we spoke about the CFT. Again, the reason why I'm totally against the report from the Senate talking about dollarization for St. Martin, where they have a piece in their advice, and it also came across in the newspaper where they said the CFT should remain as the financial sort of supervision for St. Martin indefinitely, because their role will be up after 2015. So here we have the Senate, the Committee of Advice, not the Committee of Advice, the Social Economic Committee, which is saying that the CFT, a board that is recommended by the Dutch, should remain as the monetary supervision on St. Martin indefinitely. So in other words, they are saying that they should stay there for life. They should always be there. And I'm saying to myself, the Dutch in the newspaper is saying that the budget cuts going to hurt and cause the ministry, the budget cuts, because we slashing the budget, and by slashing the budget, it's going to hurt the ministry. But you have the CFT that was put in place by the Dutch, that was recommended to be there by the Dutch, saying that you have to cut your budget by 25 million. Cut the budget. So on one end, we can say the mouthpiece for the Netherlands, for the Dutch, is claiming and saying, cut the budget. The budget must be cut. And then you have the members of parliament in the Tweede Kamer in Holland saying, the budget cuts is going to hurt the ministry, and they fear that the Orca investigation would not be able to carry on or be able to come to fruition. Now, I'm saying to myself, which one is it? Do you want the budget cuts, or you don't want the budget cuts? Because in one end, you can't have the CFT saying to St. Martin, cut your budget by 25 million, and then on the other hand saying the budget cuts going to hurt. So it's either or. It's either we have the budget cuts or we don't have the budget cuts. Which one do you want, Holland? Which one is it? And, you know, I have a letter that I'm going to read for you guys. But it seems as if we have politicians in The Hague that is building and making their political career on destroying the image of St. Martin politicians, St. Martin leaders, and St. Martin people. Having the worst to say, because enough is not going on in Holland in terms of corruption, in terms of money laundering, in terms of fraud, in terms of embezzlement. Enough of that is not going on in Holland, but their only focus is to destroy and recolonize this island called St. Martin. And they are doing it in strategic ways, because you're seeing what is happening. They have their agents here in St. Martin, like Hilbert Ha, the editor of the Today newspaper, that carry out their agenda, fabricate stories, create all sorts of falsification, all right? Held bent on destroying St. Martin people for the Dutch consumption of politicians to advance their political career. But I want to draw your attention to how Europeans think, their modus operandi, the thing that they come up with. So whilst we are here in St. Martin planning for the next 4 years, because we have a government, or we have a set of leadership here that plans for every election. Not these people. The Dutch and Europeans don't think that way. They plan for 10, 15, and 20, 25 years down the road. That's what they do. That's how they plan. And regardless of the individual who comes in or out, he has an agenda that he must carry out. And that agenda is hell bent on destroying and creating minorities that enables them to live the way that they have lived. And they have been doing it now for a number of years. That is how they survive. I'm trying to find out, and I'm doing a little research on that part. How is it that Belgium speaks both French and Dutch? You know, you have Brussels and you have Antwerp, and part of Antwerp speaks Dutch, and Brussels, that part of Belgium, speaks French. But I have a letter here that I want to bring up for you. It's a letter that came from King Leopold II of Belgium to the missionaries that was going into the Congo of Africa. Okay, Mobutu Sese Seko called it Zaire, but the name of it is the Congo. And the reason why, and you know, I should say parental advisory, because it's some serious, stiff, harsh words in this letter. We may find it a bit disturbing, but I'm going to read the content of the letter as it is, because I need you guys to understand what Europe have been doing to, how should I say it? Let me say, black people then, for a number of years. And it is similar to what the Dutch is doing to us in St. Martin today. And it's the same thing they have been doing over the existence of their history. The Dutch West Indies Company that transported slaves, in today's term you'll call it human smuggling. But the House of Oranje made $5 billion smuggling Africans across the world. And today they have the audacity to talk to us here in St. Martin about corruption, fraud, and who are gangsters. But let's see if we can bring up this letter from King Leopold II of Belgium to the missionaries that was going into the Congo. Let me see if we can get this letter. The letter came out in 1883 from King Leopold II, and the letter goes like this. The task that is given to fulfill is very delicate and requires much tact. And we all know what tact means. Okay? Some sort of skillfulness in terms of fooling, in terms of conniving, in terms of trying to sway and sway people. Tact. You will go certainly to evangelize, which means you will go to preach. But your evangelization must inspire, above all, Belgium's interests. Your principal objective in our mission in the Congo is never to teach the niggers to know God. This they know already. They speak and submit to Mungu, one and Zambi, one and Zakomba, and whatever I don't know. They know that to kill, to sleep with someone else's wife, to lie, and to insult is bad. Have courage to admit it. You are not going to teach them what they know already. Your essential role is to facilitate the task of administrators and industrials, which means you will go to interpret the gospel in the way it will be the best to protect your interests in that part of the world. For these things, you have to keep watch on disinteresting our savages from the richness. And listen to this, listen to this, listen to this. For these things, you have to keep watch on disinteresting our savages from the richness that is plenty in their underground. So what he's talking about, you know, disenfranchise them. Make them to believe that the ground is worthless. So all the gold, the diamond, okay, the ore that they're using to make batteries for cell phones, okay, the copper, the silver, all those precious metals that are in the ground in Belgium, make the Africans believe that it's worthless. And that's what he said. To avoid that, they get interested in it and may manage to murder you. Competition and dream, and one day overthrow you. The letter goes on to say, your knowledge of the gospel will allow you to find texts ordering and encouraging your followers to love poverty. Hear it. To love poverty, like happier are the poor, because they will inherit the heaven. And it's very difficult for the rich to enter the kingdom of God. That is what we believe today. You have to detach from them and make them disrespect everything which gives courage to affront us. I make reference to their mystic system and their war fetish, warfare protection, which they pretend not to want to abandon, and you must do everything in your power to make it disappear. Your action will be directed essentially to the younger ones, for they won't revolt when their recommendation of the priest is contradictory to their parents' teaching. The children have to learn to obey what the missionary recommends. Who is the father of their soul? You must singularly insist on their total submission and obedience. Avoid developing the spirit in the schools. Teach students to read and not to reason. Dear patriots, are some of the principles that you must apply. You will find many other books which will be given to you at the end of this conference. Evangelize the niggers so that they stay forever in submission to the white colonialist, so they never revolt against the restraint that they undergoing. Recite every day, happier are those who are weeping, because the kingdom of God is for them. Convert always the blacks by using the whip. Keep their women in 9 months of submission, to work freely for us, Force them to pay you in the signs of recognition, goats, chicken, or eggs. Every time you visit their villages, and make sure that niggers never become rich. Sing every day that it's impossible for the rich to enter heaven. Make them pay tax each week at Sunday Mass. Use the money supposed for the poor to build flourishing business centers. Institute Institute a confessional system which allows you to be good detective, denouncing any black that has a different consciousness contrary to that of the decision maker. Teach the niggers to forget their heroes and to adore only ours. Never present a chair to a black that comes to visit you. Don't give him more than one cigarette. Never invite him for dinner, even if he gives you a chicken every time you arrive at his house. Now, this is where the speech came from. The above speech, which shows the real intentions of the Christian missionary journey in Africa, was exposed to the world by, can't pronounce this name, by a doctor that was born in Congo in 1915 and who in 1935, while working in the Congo, bought a second-hand Bible from a Belgian priest who forgot the speech in the Bible. Now, there's a reason why I decided to read this letter, because when you read the letter in reference to the days back then, look at the similarities of what is happening today. Now, this is Belgium and the Congo. Take Holland and St. Martin. There's no difference. That is how they see us. They see us not as equal partners. They don't see us as one race in terms of being human beings. They don't see us as, you know, we are all Dutch citizens. No. No. They see us as, here we have a group of niggers on a small little island, and we are the Dutch, and we got to force them to be our way. We got to force them to think our way. We got to force them and want them to be like us. Okay? Because when you listen to Van Rack, you would swear and believe that Holland is the purest country in the world. There's no semblance of corruption. There's nothing wrong. Everything is spick and span. And when we mention something and we talk about Holland, and when this is done in Holland, as if it's the most lovable country in the world and everything is upstanding and everything is straight. And I am saying this to you, Samaritan people, no, it's not. It's one of the most corrupt countries in Europe. One of the smallest. Okay? But it is the Dutch that instituted slavery in the West. The Dutch. This is the reason why I say over and over, the Dutch is in no position to levy moral condemnation on St. Martin. All they need to do is check their history. But I'm going to say this to we those St. Martin people. We need to start loving our country and start loving ourselves. Because when we love our country and we love ourselves, we can't and we won't give the Dutch any type of ammunition to open their filthy mouth and speak the way about St. Martin how they do. But when we give them that ammunition, that's all that they're waiting for. Whether it's Van Rack, whether it's Bossman, whether it's Plastic, it doesn't matter who it is. They view us as subordinates. They view us as insignificant. They view us as subjects. They're the colonialists. Okay? We are just colonies. That's how they view us. But when we start to love ourselves and love our country, we put them against their backs. We shut them up with the things that they're saying. This is the reason why I'm saying it here again to Holland. I'm saying it to Van Rack. I'm saying it to Bosman. I'm saying it to Plastic. Mind your business and know what is going on in The Hague, and leave St. Martin and its people to do their own job. You can't want to blame the justice system that you put in place. You can't want to blame the constitution that you put in place. It is you, Holland, the Dutch people, that wrote the constitution of St. Martin, that is a copy and paste from your constitution. Your constitution said the courts have to take its course. Okay? That is what the Constitution said. You wrote it. And if that is the case, leave it up to the people of St. Martin to say what they want for their minister and for their members of parliament, not you, the Dutch. And St. Martin people, it is time for you guys to wake up. You see this kind of laid back, quiet, sort of docile attitude? You better get out of it. Aren't you tired of people talking and saying things about you? The Dutch is in no better. The Dutch are no better than you. We are the ones that are to hold our elected officials accountable. If we don't like what is going on, it is up to us, we, to tell them and to say that we don't agree with you. We're going to sanction you. We want to hear from the members of parliament. We want to hear from the ministers. Are you in agreement with the tape that came out? Are you in agreement with the minister and his accusation? Is it true? What is your position? What do you have to say? It is up to the people of St. Martin to demand those answers, not the Dutch, not The Hague. And St. Martin people, I'm going to keep hammering and putting it in your face to get up, stand up, and demand what you want in this country. Because if you don't do it, you're going to get all kind of riffraffs come from everywhere else where they come from, and they're going to do it for you. That's our show for tonight, St. Martin. Take care of yourself. God bless each and every one of you guys. Goodbye.
There was a time when people dare not utter a word. There was a time when people were in the dark and searching for accurate information. Just when all hope is lost and frustration hangs in the balance, XSM Talk emerges and broke the silence. Join host Christopher Emmanuel for live and serious discussions and hard talk.